Hello, friends. Lisa Rana here, and I really appreciate you joining me today. We're going to be assembling these super cute rainbow cards, just some easy stamping and two fun backgrounds to make these cards a great way to send a little happiness to someone's way. I think they're great for kids and adults alike. I'm featuring the Sunshine and Rainbows April 2021 sentiment kit from Unity Stamp Company. Lots of great sentiments and accents in this kit, plus those darling rainbows that can be layered onto each other as well. I'm starting out with the stitch scalloped rectangle in my Misty using some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And then I have my rainbow and a sentiment already loaded in there. I'm just going to mask off that rainbow as I stamp the sentiment. It just makes it super easy to ink that up without getting it onto the rainbow. I did this because I wanted the placement to be all set to go, so I'm just protecting that rainbow so I don't get any of the craft ink from Gina K onto my rainbow as I'm stamping. And then I'm just going to remove that sentiment and focus on the rainbow. What I love about this stamp is it comes in one big solid piece, and then also you can separate out each of those rainbow arcs. So I had it all lined up as a solid stamp, and then I removed the bottom arches and the heart, and I'm just inking this up in some passion pink from Gina K. All the colored inks I'm using today are from Gina K, so I'm just going to name the names of the colors from now on. So once I finished up the passion pink, I placed the next arch right below the previous arch. That way I know the placement is perfect, and I'm using some wild lilac for this. And again, I'm just doing some couple passes just to make sure I get a nice solid impression of those rainbow arches. And then next I'm bringing in the third arch of the rainbow. Just going to slide that into position. I love that each of these are cut apart because it just makes inking so much easier. I don't have to worry about masking. I can just pull out the previous arches, but I know that each one's in place. This one is Peach Bellini, and again, just doing probably 3 or 4 layers it looks like, just to make sure I get a nice solid coverage of those arches. And then last, I'm going to place in my little heart. This one is the solid version of the heart, and I'm going to be using some wild wisteria. I decided to go with warm tones for this particular card. I'm using some pinks and purples. What I love about this set is it could easily be used for kids. I think it's cute enough for that, but then it's also adult enough for adults. It just kind of crosses both generations. It's just super cute and happy, which I think everybody thinks about rainbows. Here we go, going to get some nice impression of that wild wisteria just to finish off the rainbow with that heart below. Great. I did get a little bit of stray ink there right above the heart, so I'm going to grab my sand eraser and just kind of rub that away. And it's almost like it never existed. A sand eraser is definitely a must-have in my toolbox. There is a second rainbow in this kit just made up of dots and lines, which is perfect to layer over the solid rainbow, or it could be used on its own. I'm just picking out the dots and I'm laying them up and over the larger arch and the smallest arch. I'm not even concerned about placement because I like the way that the wonkiness would look. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just laying them over, and then I'm going to be using some craft ink because it'll match the background. Kind of pulls in the craft color from the sentiment and the card base. So I'm just layering over the dots on top of my previously stamped rainbow. And you could do lots of different combinations with these. That's what I love about the layering of this kit. And then I grabbed a cloud from this kit as well. Just going to stamp 2 down in craft ink. And then I grabbed the little tiny heart. I just think it's so adorable. And I'm going to be stamping a heart, one on the left side and then one on the right side. And I'm using the passion pink for the heart color. And just like that. And then I'm just going to grab my scissors and fussy cut these out. They're super simple. I just leave a little bit of a border around each of the clouds because that's a look that I like. And now I'm going to work on the background of this card. And I'm using some craft colored cardstock. It's also by Nina. It's Desert Storm. And I'm using some repositionable adhesive and placing that down into my Misty, and then placing this fun Rainbow Love background. It is made to match the sentiment kit. It has the same type of rainbow, and it's really tiny and subtle, so I really like the way that those two kind of contrast together. I grabbed some white ink. This one is starting to dry out a bit, so I'm using lots of pressure to make sure I get nice coverage. I'm going to have to order a new ink pad, I believe, and I'll probably order the one from Gina K. She has a great, nice white pigment ink, so I'll link that one below. This one is kind of seen its better days. And I'm just gonna ink that down, and I'm using my pressure tool, which is just a gold candle topper. I haven't really done anything special to it. I need to add some foam to it just so it slides a little bit better, but I've just been lazy. And I'm using that to create some pressure just so I get a nice impression of that rainbow background. And I'm just going to try and get that craft cardstock to adhere back to my Misty with some more repositionable adhesive. That way I can get a second impression, because I know that that white ink needs some help just because it's so dried out. Here we go with layer number 2. And again, creating some nice pressure. Picking that up and then using my tool again to create some more pressure. You could use a brayer for that, actually. A brayer would work perfectly if you had one. And I'm just giving it plenty of time to transfer that white ink. I just want a nice solid impression of those cute little rainbow hearts in the background. Great, love that. I am going to set that aside, and I also did hit it with a heat tool. Pigment ink takes forever to dry, and I did not want it to smear, so I did both of those. I let it dry really well, and then I also hit it with a heat tool just to make sure I don't smear any of that white ink. I add a bit of foam adhesive behind the rainbow panel, and then I'm popping up my clouds again with a bit of foam adhesive just on either side of the rainbow edge. Cute, right? I love that. Next, we're just going to add a few sequins and gems, and I'm sticking with the kind of gold or warm tones, and I'm using some gold stars and a gem. I'm just kind of digging around looking for the ones that I want. And then once I have my placement, I'm using some glossy accents to glue those down so I know that they won't move anywhere. Next up, let's do card number 2. This time I'm doing some cool tones in blues and purple. And I'm using Ocean Mist for the top arch of the rainbow this time. I'm going to wipe that off and then slide in my second arch. Again, I just love the way that these are cut. It just makes inking so easy. I'm going to grab some Wild Lilac for the second layer here. And the Misty just makes it so great to re-ink and re-stamp, so I get a nice solid arch on that rainbow. And then for our third arch, just going to slide that in, remove the previous arch, and I'm using some grass green for that bottom arch. Ink up a couple times just to make sure I get a nice solid impression. Oh, cute. And then last, I'm going to use actually the open heart for the bottom of this card. Just thought I'd switch it up. And I'm just going to place that down in the center there, pick it up, and then make sure that my heart is straight. Just like that. And at first I grabbed some of that ocean mist, but then changed my mind and I grabbed the wild wisteria and stamped that over top. Just kind of wanted to pull more of the purple in. For this fun background, we're going to create some clouds. I have this cloud stencil. It's actually from My Favorite Things, but Unity has one as well that I need to order, and that it's going to create the same thing. What I do is mask off the top of my card so it doesn't transfer to the back of my card front. And then I just lay down that stencil and I keep rotating it and flipping it. So I get a different look of clouds for each layer. I'm using that ocean mist again to blend on with my blending tool. And then I just vary the look of those cloud layers. I start my blending on the stencil and then I kind of bring it up to the top so it's darker towards the stencil and then lighter towards the top of the clouds where it starts to meet the previous layer. And I just keep doing that, rotating and flipping that stencil so I get a nice different look for each layer. And then when I was done, I went in with my blending tool and I just blended around the entire edge of the card. Just thought it kind of creates a vignette look, just kind of blends everything together so it doesn't look so stark on the edges. So perfect. I just love how these stencils make making cloud backgrounds so easy. So I added some foam adhesive to the back of my rainbow panel, and again I'm just going to tack that down right in the center of my card on top of our cute little cloud background. I did the same thing and stamped some clouds in Moonlight Fog, which matches the sentiment color. And then the little hearts are in Ocean Mist as well. Just pop those up on the front of my card. And then to finish this one off, I have some tiny little like purplish stars and so clearer looking gems. And just gluing those down with glossy accents as well. Fun. So here is the first card with those warm pinks, purples, and craft. I love the way the white rainbow background creates just the perfect subtle look behind the popped up rainbow. Just a few sequins and gems adds the perfect sparkly touch. And for our second card with the cool tones and that amazing blended cloud background, it really does seem like the rainbow is up in the sky. Again, just a few sequins and gems add the perfect touch to finish it off. I'll have all the supplies linked in the description of this video, and of course if you have any questions or sweet comment, post below. Thank you so much for creating with me. I hope you're inspired, and I'll see you next time. Bye!